So if you're an eventer like me, then you know Kentucky 5-star just happened this last weekend, and the amount of videos that have been trickling out on YouTube have been like waiting for it to rain in a drought. But the point is that there are a few, and there is all 3 days of Boyd Martin riding Luke 140. If you want to watch the full video without my commentary on it, then that link is down below. But let's watch Luke go around the Kentucky 5-star together all 3 days. So let's go ahead and watch Luke tackle Kentucky 5-star and see how this bad boy went. So Boyd Martin, of course, is a legend in the sport. I know he had a few horses in the 5-star, and you know, this horse obviously has been around the block because his name is kind of familiar, you know. Whoa. It's kind of a crazy halt, but, you know. Medium. He's got a nice bouncy, you know, floaty medium trot, but it's also not like so bouncy and floaty that it looks like hard to control. So there is a happy balance, obviously, with all of this stuff. He looks like he's much more comfortable doing a left-hand shoulder in than the right, but both nice, of course, and consistent. You know, when it comes to shoulder in, it's always about, you know, the horse looking like it's not a struggle, right? Half pass. I would be curious about Boyd's own comments on that half pass because he's just not a fan of the halt, you know? It is what it is. I'd be curious about his thoughts, his commentary on that half pass, because we have a pretty straight on angle, and he was pretty, you know, the body was pretty, he was bent and of course moving in the proper direction, his shoulders were pretty misaligned with his butt. And there, of course, when you're doing the half pass, the shoulder has to go first, but that was pretty diagonal for so I'd be curious. The score in the bottom hand corner, it's like it's only telling you the percentage of the overall total, not telling you what the individual scores were for the individual movements. So, I guess that's an average, but it's an average of a percentage of, you know, if that was the only score, then that's what it would be. So that's note to people who are, you know, creating these, you know. If you want people to get invested in the sport, it has to make sense in plain English. I know what that means, but that's because I've been doing this sport for 20 years. Those were nice walk pirouettes. Those can get a little sticky, and those were pretty darn smooth. You know what? Actually, his wife is a Grand Prix dressage rider, so I'm gonna bet that is her advice, and I'm just gonna go with it. That was a nice canter transition. Although, in fairness, when it comes to 5-star, you are expecting, you know, vast majority of this stuff to be pretty cookie cutter. Obviously, flying lead changes always give something fun to look at, and I actually made a video from the Paris Olympics of all the best and worst flying lead changes, because those are just fun. See, and when it comes to his canter half pass, he's much less angled in the body. So I would be curious about... That's a nice flying lead change. I would be curious about that for, you know, in terms of what a judge is looking at and saying, like, oh, is that too much angle? It's a serpentine with flying lead changes. I think that would be, I think I'm going to teach that to Dilly. So that sounds like fun. He's like going to kick his belly with that hind end action. But the point is that I would be curious. Same with, well, he has more angle on this side than he does on the other side. But I would just be curious about, like, a judge looking at that and saying, with the trot, especially compared to the canter, because the canter to me looked better than the trot. So I would be curious if he got docked for the amount of body angle that he had in his trot half pass. Because both of them, the trot was much more significant than the canter half pass. The canter half pass looked really nice, both ways. Alright, that was a nice halt. Nice and square. Good boy. Big old pats, of course, and as you can see, it was raining. Alright. Are we ready for cross country? Yeah, 3, 2, 1, let's go! Well, that's quite the conversation. Well, nice. Well, I can see why they were having it. When it comes to coffins, you really do have to get them back. Nice. This is a fun cross country. It's like not just one angle. It's all the angles. He does seem like a strong horse. So, you know, for Boyd, who's like a big giant dude, to have to be pulling on him, it just speaks to, you know. Nice. I always like those jumps. They look crazy, but they jump really well. Woo! Head of the lake. Oh, don't go into the head of the lake. Nice. Oh, crawling over that. Nice. Yep. I'm surprised that the up bank was so far away from the skinny roll top. Big table. See, but like him being like a big tall dude, and having to work that hard to get the horse back, it just speaks to what the rest of us would have to do to get that horse back. Nice. Oh. Wow! Alright, well, the video that I am watching has Boyd's commentary on this, and so I am gonna go back and see what he had to say about that one, because that was, I mean, scrappy, but a little chaotic. I mean, that is cross country, though. Get her done. The reality is that you always go walk a course with, like, the best possible plan in mind, and when real life gets thrown at you, and this goes beyond a cross country course, right? But when real life gets thrown at you, you have to be able to be flexible and work with what you've got. The mark of a great cross country rider is being able to be flexible with what's happening underneath you, not what you thought the perfect plan was going to be. All right, time for stadium. Everyone does flying lead changes to, like, canter around and get a nice canter going, but if I did a flying lead change to get my horse in a ring, like as an introduction, that would rile him up, not calm him down. All right. Off to the races. It's a very big arena. going to use all of his time. To be honest with you, the head flicking like that, some would say that these two are like not agreeing about stuff, but honestly, that horse, he just screams to me like he's just too excited or too enthusiastic about jumping. It doesn't seem like malicious or like he's not happy to do the job. It seems like he's more than happy to do the job. And Boyd's saying, let's not go that fast or run at it like that. Like, that's a bit too much. Nice. He does seem like a little bit of a smaller horse. See, if I moved up to an Oxer like that, I would have to be like throwing on the brakes to get out of that combo with my horse, because he would when I move up to stuff, he overjumps it. But this horse seems like a nice size to be able to still do both. You can move up to stuff, but it doesn't like eat into the distance when you get into the combination. Nice. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, so for me, triples with my horse are always really complicated. Like I said, if we ever overjump into anything, it creates some chaos. Woo! And we're done. So, but because the triple had a fence into it and then a bending line, it creates kind of a nice setup for the triple, because there's actually a related distance to it. I like that as a highlight. See, and so it creates a nice entry into the triple. So he had some time on cross country. Anyway, so that was Boyd Martin riding around the Kentucky 5-star cross country. I really wish that they would post all of Kentucky. It's already over. There's no more, the paywall is obviously for people who already know and love this sport. But if you want the sport to grow, then you have to show it to people who've never seen it before. And they're not going to pay $300 for something they've never seen before. And that starts on YouTube. Letting people like me and other people like this who want to talk about this sport share the footage and talk about the sport. And that's how you get the sport to grow. All right. Rant over. Sorry, a few of these reaction videos, I've been doing mini rants here and there because the reality is this is about growing a business. And when it comes to horses, it's such an easy thing to get people invested in because the relationship and the partnership with the horse is so unique to the sport that we do. And it should be capitalized on. But the problem is when it comes to horse sports in general, they happen, especially cross country out in the middle of the woods. And so if this one camera that's pointed at this one thing off in the distance in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, in the middle of bum F nowhere of Kentucky, and whoever owns the footage of that said camera, then if they don't choose to show it to everybody, then guess what? No one's going to see it. So especially shows that have already passed and nobody's buying footage to them anymore. Why not put them on YouTube? Why not make them available for everybody to watch? Because our sport is so fun. It's so unique. And I think that if more people knew about it, then the sport would actually grow. Call me crazy. So since you and I are not Boyd Martin, I have put together 10 tests that you can do at home without your trainer just to see how you do when it comes to balance, when it comes to flexibility, when it comes to testing your different aids with your leg and your seat and your hands and things of that sort. In the grand scheme of things, you don't have to pass or fail any of these tests. But if you never take them, then you never really know what you need to work on as a rider. So if you want to take these 10 tests, then that link is right here. I'll see you there.